It's movie time, and we're back again with movie time. Hey, everyone. Hope that you had a fabulous couple of days, and happy Friday movie time. And so I'm your host, Grayson, and I am here tonight with my co-hosts, Olaf and Arpo. Hey, Olaf, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. It has been just an awesome day in the great state of Indiana because, let's see, it rained and I didn't have to go to work today. It's
Woohoo!
the advantages of working in construction. You don't have to work when it rains.
Yep. And also tonight we have our co-host, Arpo. Hey, Arpo, how you doing?
I'm doing just great. You know me. I go into hibernation between shows. I've been in this since we had our dark show on Wednesday. I've been in the dark this entire time, and I got to tell you, uh, I'm like a cat now. I can see everything around me perfectly clearly, even though it's who turned that light on? WC? I'm gonna get you.
All right.
Sorry.
And
Things are under control.
tonight we have our amazing guest, Brian Hathaway. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I am doing great. How's everybody?
Good. It's like basically, Brian. It's like we are so glad that you were here and that you were able to make it with us. So
My pleasure.
Can you tell us a little bit about you and your company and how did we all get here?
I work in the digital advertising sector, so going everywhere from the traditional advertising to the digital side, which involves websites, apps, and the social media aspect, and then everything in between.
That sounds exciting because it's like this is because digital marketing has changed immensely in the digital platform. It's like this isn't 1999 with ICQ any longer.
It's a constantly evolving, daily changing endeavor, but it's fun and it's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And so it's like, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you do, like the digital web platforms. It's like, talk about how websites have also evolved over the years, because it's like, it's changed. What is the people's taste in terms of how they like to receive their news in terms of scrolling or?
Yeah, you know, in the nascent days of the web in the 2000s, there was all this push technology and everything was being sent to your email box. And then things turned around where it was seeking out sort of like niche marketing. And there was always the subject matter based on your interest. And so there's a specialty website for everything. And then, of course, broadcast, television, media really became a part of it and found that there's actually tremendous money to be made on there. So then really kind of solidified everything. And to the point now where we've come full circle where social media is such a influencing factor that it's not even being run by the traditional media outlets who decide what is read. A lot of brands nowadays want to talk about the authenticity of an individual who is an influencer, bloggers, and style people who have this incredible following and almost dictating the voice of the brand. And everyone's talking about, let's create content to have a dialogue with our consumers or customers.
Well, also the branding process itself is evolved, and it's like now if you're not a brand, it's very hard to get yourself to be a scream and a voice in a huge, busy, loud voice. How does the branding work in today's markets?
Everything's a brand now. Everything is perceived as a brand. Every company that we come across, from the largest company to the individual as brand, it's all this created voice that comes from you as an individual or you as a company. It's all having this established connection in any way that they can create it, because now these young consumers are smart and they know when they're being sold to and they don't like it. So there's all this interest in creating what's my brand voice? How am I connecting with my audience? Whether that's, you're selling clothing or you're coming out with a movie, it's just everyone needs an authentic voice. That's the way that communication is being created on the web now.
Well, because also there's so many different platforms for the web with also mobile, there's tablet, there's so many different things. It's like, heck, they're doing it on a watch now. And,
exactly.
Google Glasses, like how, it's like technology wise, it's so many different ways and so many different channels competing with that. And how do you brand yourself to be able to understand the vast markets of different, like to be able to appeal to mass marketing, because there really isn't a form of mass marketing any longer.
And you can't be everywhere at once. You have to basically pick and choose where you're going to spend your time, effort, and advertising dollars, or just energy. Like, what am I going to focus on? And really that comes down to personal choice. You sort of find your tribe along the way as a result. Look, we're talking movies. We found our tribe.
Yes. And it's like with movies, absolutely. And it's like with movies and with the entertainment, it's like it's so different, because it's like with movie marketing, it's even, you're talking about an intangible item until the tangibility happens.
Right. It's like selling fragrance. You're sort of selling the dream, something that you can't even tangibly like touch.
Yes.
But it's sort of the vision and aura of what you're trying to create, and you're trying to put that image in their mind and say, yeah, I want that. It's hard to do.
Yeah. And it's also very difficult, because it's like you're dealing with also certain ways that certain markets are perceiving. Like millennials love their video games. They love their,
I do too.
I think what, Snapchat or something like that is their latest thing, Reddit, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to, it's like, I'm thinking that eventually what people are going to do is they're going to just like, insert movie trailers inside of video games just so that they can get their attention.
I was at a magazine store one time, just shopping. I'm sorry, it was more of like the comic book store, not even just magazines. It was very specific to the comic book world. And
okay, like a Marvel Comics, yeah.
Exactly. It's placed down in New York City in Union Square. Pretty well known for a great place to go for all the latest in graphic novels and comic books. And there was a movie executive there who was sitting there talking to people and showing them a movie trailer, and wanted to get like the comic book person's perspective on, what do you think of this trailer? Does it need anything? Are you getting it? They really wanted to reach a certain audience, and they were in the stores showing them hey, take a look at this. What do you think? What do we need to do? Please help us.
Yeah. It's like understanding the market. It's like just like currently when you're talking about writing, it's like if you're trying to write like a teenager and you're an adult, try and ask a teenager to read it.
Exactly. Yeah. Which I have done as a result.
Yes. Because it's amazing, because it's like, especially when you're talking about target audience, it's like get the target audience to read it, something for you, and you get 1,000 ideas out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm writing for the young teenager, and so of course I have my beta readers take a look at it and say, does this make sense? Is this how you talk?
Yeah.
If I'm not sitting around a coffee shop listening to kids talk to one another, which is always fascinating. You have to have them read it and say, does this jive with you? Am I coming across as not an adult writer trying to sound young, but actually, creating the way you guys speak?
Yeah. It's like, and it's very hard when you're talking about teenagers in terms of their the language that they use, because it's like they
constantly changing.
Exactly. It's like what an expression that was like last week really popular. They're kind of like, oh my God, why are you saying that now?
Exactly.
That was so last week.
Right.
And with teenagers, you have your skateboarders, your the bike riders, your all the different like the tuners and all the ones. So they all have their different language. So if you're trying to get to the teenagers, you got to hit all the different things to get all the different languages right.
It's especially tough when you go into considering urban, deep urban, suburban, and yeah, it's almost impossible. You just have to pick a few categories, stick with it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like sometimes when I'm listening to my own teenager, it's kind of like, oh my God, this sounds like Days of Our Lives.
Everything's very, very passionate, very dramatic.
Oh yeah. It's like, and everybody is like, and I'm like, wow, you must live like in like a really dark community in high school.
No, just being a teenager.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was reading something. Someone was recalling a situation where they're out to dinner, and it was mostly adults, and everyone, they're at this restaurant. They said, "So, how was dinner?" "Pretty good. Yeah, it was lovely. I had the blah and." Yeah, oh yeah, it was an excellent restaurant. Yeah, I enjoyed my meal as well. And then this 9-10-year-old said, "It was awesome. It was so good." And like, it's just the kids are passionate. Everything's super important.
Exactly, and it has to happen now. If it doesn't happen absolutely this second, it's like, oh my God, the world's gonna explode.
Yeah, Mom, it has to happen now.
Yes. Yeah.
Or you're in my space. It has to happen now. Why isn't it happening? It's like, why am I still waiting for this? How come?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my God. Yeah.
So now, before you were with Canvas, I want to get just a little bit into your background before we go forging ahead. You spent a lot of years in the financial community. How did that help you to prepare for what you're doing now?
Yeah, I was in investment banking for about 12 years, for which I sincerely apologize. I was just begrudgingly sticking with it, thinking that's what you have to do to be responsible and raise a family and things like that. What it did prepare me for was kind of the sales effort that I make. When you're trying to sell to a large client, I'm certainly not intimidated anymore because I've dealt with some rather wealthy individuals. This is certainly some hands-on training I've had from the financial world. Yeah. But I don't talk to many of those guys anymore.
Now, there's a little similarity between investment banking and working with people's money and working with teenagers, because your investment banking clients are, I need it. It's like, you're going to make me money now. I gotta have it now.
Yes.
You got to get that ROI right now.
Sorry.
Extremely important. Yeah, you certainly don't want to upset a high net worth individual. Yeah. Teenagers are the same.
Yeah,
exactly.
Their tantrums are a little bit. They kind of hurt a little bit more than a teenager's tantrum.
They can say really very mean things that cut very deeply. The high net worth individual, they'll lose steam, but I think a teenager will hold on to that anger a little bit longer.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like the financial.
I think it's still a little bit, more invigorating than dealing with the Kevin O'Learys of the world who are just sitting there saying, I want to know what's in it for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know what? That is what investment is all about, is a what's in it for me kind of category. Because it's like, why would you put money into something without expecting a return on your investment? I don't know, maybe for humanitarian reasons, but
you're speaking to the reasons why I finally got out of it. I'm like, I can't be around these guys anymore. It's just enough was enough. Interestingly, though, it wasn't my decision. I was actually pushed out. So I was working at Keith Pruitt and Woods, KBW. The group I was in, we were basically taking banks' debt. They're like bad debt, and selling it to other rich kids. Basically, like taking money and putting it in the hands of someone else to make more money. And which is, you know, not exactly your life affirming endeavor. Yet I was sticking with it. But another investment bank, Stifel, bought KBW, and they let my entire company go, or my group go. And so they brought me into a room, and I walk in, and it's never good where you walk in the room, there's your managing director, and then the entire investment banking head. I open the door, and I'm like, well, this doesn't look very good. Well, Brian, unfortunately, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm escorted out of the building, and I call my wife. Like, you're not going to believe this, but I was just let go. And she's like, what? I was in the middle of a deal, like, you know, I'm making money for the company. You think that would be enough?
No.
I said, I can't go back into this anymore. If you're with me, I want to go into the digital world. This is where my passion lies. I want to work with like today's youth in marketing.
Yeah.
And she's like, I got you. Let's do this. Took me 9 months, and then I eventually found my way through.
Yeah,
which is
you went
exciting.
to Magnet. Yeah, so you
Magnet
went
Media.
to Magnet Media, and that seemed like a good stepping stone from
So
what
you work with
were doing
Jeanette
to what you're doing now.
I did.
Yeah, you worked with Jeanette Burley. Well, now Jeanette Milone.
Well, exactly. So they actually, here's how I basically spoke to them in a way that they decided, yeah, let's give this guy a shot. I said, look, I know the financial community. I come from that. I can sell video production to them, like a video roadshow. When you're going on these roadshows to get investors to take a company public. Well, if we put this on the web through video production, this is something that I can make sense for these investment banking guys who are not traditionally very forward thinking when it comes to the web. And they said, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. You're hired. You're going to handle sort of the financial community. And one of my first clients I brought on was Credit Suisse. And in my first pitch meeting, this woman said to me, you know who you should talk to is Canvas. And I said, well, that's great. I'm going to talk to you about Magnet Media. And anyway, I end up, selling them on this project. And then yet several months down the road, I called the same woman. I said, remember that company you told me to talk to? Canvas? Yeah. I said, would you introduce me to them, please? It seemed like a better fit. And it's been 4 years. I've been there with them for 4 years now, and it is a better fit. I can say that now.
Yeah. But it's great, though, that you had the chance to be able to all work together. And it's like,
We're all friends in this little community.
Yeah, we might have seen each other, though, at the time that she was still with Magnet Media instead of where she's at now.
Right. I don't remember where that is, actually.
Oh my gosh, it's like she's also doing the lecture circuit as well as also. Oh gosh, it's like I'd have to remember. It's like
we'll go on LinkedIn and we'll check her out again.
Yeah, it's like we have someone in common.
So right. Not surprising, right? Again, like people attract like people, and like I said, we found our tribe.
Yes. We did, and it's like, you know what, also one of the greatest things about media marketing, and it's like also in that, is that because you can customize things to the audiences that you have. It used to be like you had to do generic ads, you had to worry about, oh my God, well, so-and-so like this. Now you can actually customize.
It used to be enough to put it out there, and you just be a part of that shared voice. That's not enough anymore. You have to create something that's compelling, that people make these purchasing choices now based on an emotional connection with a brand, and that's what has to be created now.
So let's talk a little bit about also finding one's voice in that mass marketing community, because it's a very difficult thing to be able to do, is find your voice of where it is that you fit in a niche market, or do you fit in a niche, or do you fit into a more wide-ranged market? So let's talk a little bit about that, if you can go over that subject a little bit.
And that's at the core of what companies have to understand coming from a marketing perspective. And a great example in many cases is Apple. They just said, we make really good computers and phones. You should buy them. that would not ring very interesting. Hence compact computers, and Dell, they were in that competitive space, but didn't quite figure out their voice, their brand voice. Mac came from, and Apple came from another angle, saying that we're about self-expression, clean design, aesthetic, to help you create beautiful work. We just happen to sell these computers to help you do it. And I think when people connect with that vision of who they are at the core, Stephen Jobs at his core, he was about like the aesthetic, and that resonated with a lot of people, as we know. And that's what's important, right? If you don't get your brand voice correct, it may not resonate with anyone else either.
Yeah, it's also how Participant has become a large leading company in terms of social media, social activism in terms of their film projects.
Yes, right.
And Annapurna and productions like that, because it's like they've become socially responsible, and they too have like grown their voice in the community.
And of course, people want to associate themselves with a brand that does something meaningful, right? And it makes them feel good. Of course, they're creating great products too. Like they're bringing beauty out into the world that we're actually enjoying and watching. But that sense of social activism makes people feel good, and I think that's obviously going to continue for many brands across the board. No matter who they are probably going to want to do that soon as well. It's like, no, we're good for the environment too. We care, and it has to be real.
Well, yeah, because if you're not doing it for an actual purpose, then why do it? If you don't believe in the cause, then it's like, then no, what you're really about is making the money.
Kids see right through it.
Yes. And fortunately now grown-ups are also seeing right through it in authenticity. It's like, this is why when we had talked about earlier as well, that, it's like the believability and plausibility of things. It's like people are also starting to go, okay, yes, I'm willing to take the ride with you into the fantasy world as long as it still remains within plausibility.
Yes.
Thank you, Mythbusters. Yes. Thank you, Mythbusters.
Right. It's true. As long as I can go on this ride with you and feel just as real as my everyday waking life, then I'm right there with you. Absolutely.
Yep. And also, the minute that you break that plausibility clause with your audience, it's like then it's like they fall out in droves.
If you lose them, it's hard to get them back.
Yeah.
Well, a movie is very much like a pact made between the artistic vision of the director and the audience. It's like, I'm going to do this and you're going to come to see it, and I'm going to not disappoint you.
Yes. Right.
Which is why when audiences are disappointed, movies sink like rocks.
Yeah. No time for that anymore. Like that that Emoji movie that came out. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, what the hell are they thinking?
Gone in 60 seconds. I don't think it lasted a week. I mean, it was just.
That was such a very interesting movie.
Did you see it?
Well, yeah. I'm lucky. I still have a drive-in here.
Fantastic.
And then it shows, and they show two movies. So I forget what the first movie was, but the Emoji movie was the second movie.
Okay.
I watched part of it and then went and talked to the owner of the drive-in. He's a friend of mine, so I kind of hung out with him and then went back, and it's like, oh, it's almost over. Okay. It was. I'm like, I'll have to agree. I'm like going, okay, this movie might appeal to a 5-year-old maybe, but
perhaps
yes.
The 3 to 5 range, age range, I think they would be, but
but that's not really your drive-in crowd, as a general rule.
No,
that's a kids movie, if anything. And is it a good kids movie? I don't think so.
They probably took a page from the when Lego came out with that great movie, and they thought, okay, here's a toy that has come out with an interesting storyline and created a really fun, fantastic movie. What else is out there that people use that they'll relate to? Oh yeah, it's right on their phone, it's staring right at them, and they just unfortunately didn't come up with anything compelling that was a storyline. But it just goes to show you, like, man, they really have to start thinking a little bit further than something that's
I
in the public eye.
was terrified about the Angry Birds movie, but I did finally sit down and watch it. I went, oh, there is a plot. Hey.
Okay, but the Emoji Movie was like a bad episode of the Care Bears.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Complete with Care Bear stare.
I'm sorry, was there ever a good episode of Care Bears?
My daughter, who's 4.5, would say yes.
Yes, there was.
They came out when I was too old to really appreciate.
Yeah,
for me too. I've had the pleasure of being reintroduced to them.
Well, like I said, the Emoji Movie, it's like it kind of started out halfway. It started out okay, but it lost ground after about the first 30 minutes into it. It kind of started losing ground. Yeah.
And fortunately, hopefully, people realize, wow, we really should come up with something that's a little more of a compelling storyline for our movie. What do you say?
Well, and this is another thing that is also starting to happen. It's like people are getting too comfortable in their positions and thinking, okay, well, it's emojis. Why won't people come and flock to watch it?
Yes.
It's like, it's a movie about emojis. It's like, it's a movie about, squirrels. It's like, why wouldn't people go and watch this? It's like, because people are maybe starting to wise up that they'd actually like to hear a story that goes along with this.
Right. So, and then going back to your earlier point about creating this authentic voice, and Wonder Woman came out this summer, and it resonated so deeply with women because it touched something that they didn't know lay dormant for so long within them, which was women unabashedly kicking ass for no other reason than they are badass women. And my wife and I went to it, and she found herself crying watching this movie because she's like, this is what I've been waiting to see all my life.
Yes.
And it took a woman director perhaps to say, guys, we need to do this.
Absolutely.
Awesome. It was a great movie.
Yeah. Patty Jenkins did an amazing job.
He did.
I went to see that, and then since it's Labor Day weekend, the drive-in, they're going to show it again, so I get to see it for a second time.
This drive-in is really it's taking care of you out there.
Oh yeah, it's like I don't think I've been to an indoor theater in the last 5 years, maybe twice.
Oh wow. What do you guys think about this new trend of the potential $10 a month unlimited movie viewing initiative? It sounds like a good idea to me.
It is actually a really good idea, Movie Pass, because I mean, honestly, it will drive a lot of people to the theater to see movies that they wouldn't normally see.
For sure.
Right.
And the idea is, though, also to get them out of the house.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like the only thing that's going to happen is like with the it's like that's going to supersede it. It's like, okay, we have two different kinds of theaters here. One that would fall into that $10 movie category, which is the Regal Theater. The other one that we have is this thing called the Alamo Victory Theater, which is absolutely amazing. You go in there, you pay for a movie, and you have dinner right in the movie theater.
I love that. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this. It's like in Toronto, they call them the VIP theaters. It's like, so basically what you're doing is you go in, you're going to go and eat dinner anyways if you're going to go out to a movie, or eat lunch. Let's face it, you are going, or you're going to buy something at the concession stand.
I can't, I'll even tell myself sometimes I won't get the popcorn, and I smell that popcorn.
And you just got to have it.
Yeah. And I mean, for $7 to have an endless bucket of popcorn.
Right.
where it's like, yeah, you're, and like every time the bowl is empty, and these like food ninjas come around and they see the empty bowl and fill up it with another bowl, and it's like, where did these food ninjas come from?
That's awesome. I've never seen that, but I would be into it.
Oh yeah.
For $10 a month, this is a great idea.
Yeah.
Yes, for $10 a month, those theaters who don't have that would allow families to be able to see movies as well. Because it's like, think about it. When you have your kid, your child, you have a wife, you have sometimes 2-3 children. It's like, okay, there's $50 right there to do it. Then you're going to spend on popcorn. You're going to spend on concessions, because God knows, especially if you're going to travel with children to a movie, or you're going to sneak it in. Yes. Okay. Yes, you will sneak some in too, because it's like, you know, you can't pay $10 for a package of candy. There or
so
soda.
Pretty behind that class display case, and my daughter just, you know, she's all about the popcorn. She won't even share it. She needs her own, and I get mine.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Well,
so I mean.
We talked. It's like, in other words, with the movie theaters. In other words, I think this $10 a month thing is great. Now, I don't know if it'll work for me for the drive-in, but in other words, for me with the drive-in, it's $11 for 2 movies, and it's. I mean, and like he gets whatever the current release movies are, so it's not like you're watching like you're watching the blockbusters.
For sure.
So it's $11 for 2 movies, and another $8, and I can get just like burger, fries, and I can get a couple burgers, fries, and a large drink for that $8. And the way it's like what's really great about that $10 a month thing is theaters really don't get hardly anything off of the tickets. I mean, they don't make much of anything from the tickets. Where they make their money at is the concession stands.
Exactly.
So if you had normally like the indoor theaters, depending on where you're at, they're anywhere from $8 to $16 for the movie. And if you got to put up, $16 to go see a movie, you're not going to spend much at the concession stand, because you're going to wind up spending, $80 or $100 real quick, and
easy. Yeah.
So now if you can get in for $10, you pay $10 a month, and you can go see the movie 3 times, or go see a movie a weekend. Well, you walk in, now you've got, that $16 you were going to spend to get a ticket, you got that to spend towards concessions. So it should help, the movie theaters actually gain, or, help their profits.
I agree. Yeah. It's what I was doing.
It also helps.
Years.
Yeah.
I was going to the movies every weekend.
Yeah.
This would just make it that much easier.
Absolutely.
It's like
I'm wondering what effect is it going to have on the financial picture for filmmakers?
That will be interesting.
That remains to be seen.
Yes. And whether it continues or not. If they start losing profits, I don't know. I mean, initially, I see it doing well. Hopefully, there's longevity to it as well. We'll find out.
Yeah. And of course, like everything, when everything in its infancy, in other words, people start signing up, and they're like, oh wow, and they may spend Friday and Saturday nights. Now they're going to the movies because they can go as many times as they want to, and it's $10 a month. But the newness will wear off. I mean, the first few months of it, they're going to be, they're probably going to lose some money because everybody's going to be really taking advantage of it. But after a while, it's like going, man, I don't want to go to the theater tonight.
Well,
so it'll die off a little bit.
What's also what I predict on it also is it's going to become a more accessible thing for the nights that they don't really make a lot of profit on the films as well, because it's like, if I'm only paying $10 a month, heck, it's a Tuesday night, I don't have anything really busy going on with my world, I'll just go and see that. Because one of the things that was really popular for theaters at a while is when they used to have $2.50 Tuesdays or $5 Tuesdays. They used to pack their Tuesday theaters. And then they decided that, nope, Tuesday's going to become like a regular other day of the week. and suddenly they're seeing like Tuesdays, Wednesdays that people are not going to the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
If they go back to the $10 a month system, it will encourage people to say yes. It's like, and also people who won't give a movie a chance because they're going, I don't know. It's like it doesn't have anybody in it. Yeah.
Right.
Or this movie may not have somebody I know.
I think eventually filmmakers are going to say this $10 a month thing should only be good for Monday through Friday. Because
I don't know.
Or Sunday through Thursday. Because people go to movies on Friday and Saturday nights anyway.
That would be an interesting wrinkle for sure. Yeah.
Well, it's like, but the minute that they start limiting it, they're going to start running into the same problem that they did with the $2.50 Tuesday. Yeah. $2.50 Tuesday became $5 Tuesday. $5 Tuesday then became $7.50 Tuesday, and then suddenly they were like, "Well, there isn't a special day. You pay the same on Tuesday as you pay any other day." Till the audience sat there and said, "Sorry, then we're not just going." Right. If they start limiting out days because of this, it's like, but mind you, it's like they're trying to follow the Netflix model, because isn't it the gentleman from Netflix who has Movie Pass?
This, I think, initially will be met with that high level of enthusiasm, and we'll see how the longevity goes. I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not to, when you're talking like the $5 Tuesdays and stuff like that. Let's see, this weekend at the drive-in, being it's a Labor Day weekend, it's a $5 movie weekend, and there'd be Captain Underpants, Kong Skull Island, and Wonder Woman, and Diary of a Wimp. It's like Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Well, there you go.
That's a full weekend.
Yes.
And guess what? I'll bet you the drive-in will be packed.
I bet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd go see Wonder Woman again in a minute.
Yeah.
And frankly, I really like Kong Skull Island too.
Right.
So I mean, it's like, it is a very appealing concept, the $10 movie. It's like, what it will also do is it will also open up in terms of the exhibitors, their availability to theater spaces, because if you think about it, then they don't have to pander only to the studios any longer. They can put in independent movies because people will be willing to try them.
Right.
That makes it an exciting prospect. That's what I would like to see as well.
Yes. I'd like to see them also open up, for example, one of the things that they did that is a brilliant concept that I don't see in many theaters here. It's like back in Toronto that they used to do, is they used to have a time that mothers could bring their little children in with them.
That's awesome.
They had it was just a little bit dull, the theater, the lights, so it wasn't completely dark. It's like you could tend to your baby when you needed to. They allowed them to nurse right in the theater. And stuff like that. They had a baby changing table right in the aisle for them so that they can use that. It's like and it's perfect because that's also another reason why a lot of the theaters remain empty. How can you get a babysitter for an infant child?
It's during a time period where there's going to be a lot of young kids and parents with a young child. There's going to be noise. And if everyone's accepting that and knowing that's going to be the case, then everyone will feel kind of welcome to do the same thing. And I think that's an awesome idea too. Maybe they're starting to pick up some things here.
Yes.
Movie theaters.
Well, and these are the things that are going to keep the movie industry alive, because it's like, look, theater has become a place that it's like you dress up. You used to dress up to go to the movies. You don't do that any longer. It's like now, if you walk in with your like baggy jogging pants and T-shirt, they don't care. In terms of that, but
I'm seeing less people dressing up for Broadway theater.
Yes,
in New York City.
Exactly.
It used to be. I mean, it's about half and half. Some people dress up, some people don't.
Exactly, but what they did with Broadway theater to do their revival for it is they started making it more in terms of commercial trucking the theaters, changing the plays over. It's like suddenly the audiences were interested. They made specials on tickets, like rush tickets for people. So they made it accessible to people who wanted to stand in line there and couldn't afford $200 for a ticket. They could get a $25 ticket. at last minute, as long as they were willing to wait.
Yeah, and take the chance that it would sell out. Yeah.
Yeah. They are too.
It's interesting.
So.
Yeah, how much has changed. In the course of doing research for a lot of things these past 3 months, I came across online a copy of the Chicago Tribune from October of 1967. And just for the heck of it, I said, let's check out the entertainment section.
Awesome.
They had an interview with Phyllis Diller. Wonderful.
That's
but
fantastic.
They had pages and pages of the movie advertisements. And, you know, I was looking at them and I would see things like, music, hurry, last 5 weeks.
Wow.
And I'm like,
the last 5 weeks.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Like, whoa. You know, I never realized movies ran for such a long time back then. And this is before, you know, there were 16 screens in the theater.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you know, you get a movie running more than 3 weeks, it's setting a box office record, you know?
For sure.
Yes.
That's interesting. Wow. What a perspective.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
something else that this $10 a month thing might actually allow the movie theaters to do, because I know, in other words, they have to play certain movies at a, you know, it has to be on like the main screen for so many nights or something like that, and they can only have it or play the movie so many times, and then they have to switch to another movie. It might actually allow the theaters a little bit of leeway to say, like, you know, Wonder Woman, they could only play it for 2 weekends and then had to stop playing it.
Right.
Well, you know, they might be able to, when this happens, the Hollywood might be loosen up a little bit on it. Said, okay, well, you want to run it for 3 weeks, go ahead. And
really could create for some longevity in films that wouldn't possibly get that kind of attention, which is also awesome.
But well, it's one of the advantages having, it's like the owner of the drive-in being a friend of mine. We get to talking about different things, different times. And, you know, there are times that he has to show the movie, even if there's 10 cars there, he has to show the movie because it's part of the rental, part of the agreement. He has to show it this many times.
Right.
So he's got to open up and show it whether he wants to or not. So like I said, I think it'll allow some freedoms to the theaters, and as Grayson said, numbers be able to, maybe they'll start be able to put in some independent films that other people that normally you wouldn't see in a theater because it's too costly or whatever reason they don't want to put it in the theater. But I think when it takes off, it'll start to change the you know, the landscape of the movie industry.
I hope so.
It will.
A friend of mine,
you know what?
Out in a movie that just was opened last weekend. I know it was the 16th of August. Patty Cakes. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet.
I just got the advertising for it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. This is a friend of mine who is pretty big in New York City in the cabaret world. And she has an incredible voice, and it's actually a movie that is set in the 80s of North Jersey, in which a girl has dreams of hip-hop stardom. And my friend Bridget plays her mom in this, and this is an independent film for sure, but I'm hearing good, positive reviews, and I can't wait to see it. And this is the kind of movie that's going to get a little more, you know, an independent film that gets a little more notice.
It'll get a lot more traction.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh yeah, well, and it's like also the subject itself. It's like almost like one of those like,
How do you say no to that?
This is fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's like and why not? It's like you know, and this will give an opportunity for them to be able to also move to different platforms also quicker as well, because a lot of it is now becoming cross-platforming. It's like a movie like this has wings for something else. It's like now in this day and age, also in terms of marketing, you have to market to multi-platforms as well, because you can no longer just be theatrical.
Yeah. In fact,
you have to be able
you know, everyone I work with, they don't even have a cable subscription.
Yeah. We have a cable subscription, and we have,
I do too,
yeah.
But
It's
so
like
many
you
young
can enjoy
people do not, and they have the Netflix, the Hulu, the Amazon,
Yep.
The Roku, the Sling, but you know, they don't have cable. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Again, I do, and you know, maybe you know, I do come from the older generation, so that's still is crazy to me that someone doesn't have cable.
Yeah.
But yeah, but to your point, it's you have to be across all platforms.
Well, and TV is also becoming a challenging medium because a lot of TV, even though now we have longer in terms of shows, it's a lot harder to get your show to find itself, its audience. It's also its longevity.
Yeah.
People know when you're jumping the shark.
They do. And the quality has grown so much over the years
Yes.
on television. There's so much fantastic material out there for any audience. And it's almost tough to keep up with all the great television now.
Yeah,
Hence the
and if the
binging.
storyline, absolutely. It's like binge watching. It's like, would you have even thunk it? Like,
No.
yeah.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was like, okay, if you didn't record it, then you were like, oh my God, like, you know, the world ended.
Right.
And it's like now with the binge watch, it's like you could sit down and watch 25 episodes of your favorite show and not have to worry about it. And also, though, that TV has also turned into a more challenging medium because it's like they're starting to realize they can't put the same censorship that they used to back in the day because places like Netflix and the content creators like that, they actually go beyond the barriers.
Oh,
It's like it's interesting because I saw episodes, for example, of Lost Girls here in the States. I saw episodes that we used to do it in Canada. It's like the amount of censorship that they use here. It was like, oh my God, am I watching the same show? Yeah.
That's
Canada has has little to no restrictions. It's like there's certain words that can't be used, but very few of those certain words. I mean, like, yeah, it's like they show partial nudity. They show nudity itself. It's like we saw the Tudors full on nudity and all of that on TV, and it was just no big deal. Here, it's like, oh my God, they had it. You know, you can see half a boobie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm currently actually we just finished watching a Canadian production on Netflix, Schitt's Creek.
Yes.
Oh yes, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Funny. It is hilarious. Eugene Levy and his son Daniel Levy wrote it, but it's a Canadian show. I believe it's going into their third season, but the first two seasons are on Netflix here in America, and awesome, hilarious.
It is.
Catherine O'Hara, it puts on a clinic of comedy in every episode.
Definitely, and I love those kinds of shows.
Great.
And like you know, it's like different countries, different shows. They're starting to realize here with the American shows that they can't be so stiff upper lipped about it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you can't go back to McCarthyism in terms of television because guess what? You're being beaten out by Netflix. You're being beaten out by Hulu. Look at The Handmaid's Tale. It's like it's one of the most popular shows off of Hulu.
For sure.
Santa Clarita Diet. It's like Santa Clarita wouldn't make it on television on a regular cable network. It belongs on Netflix because it's like, seriously, sometimes it's like when she's just tearing apart as a zombie, the person, it's like, who was a big jackass to her, all of a sudden, it's like, and then she's like, honey, I'm so sorry I ate him. Like subjects like that would not be
right. Unique subject matter.
Yeah, exactly. Unique subject. I love that show, Santa Clarita. I'm sorry.
Of course.
It's like it's like, and yet at the same time, it's like, you know what? Also, in terms of episodics in Netflix, for some reason they found Netflix, Hulu, all of the Amazon, all of them. It's like even Stars and some of the specialty networks like HBO. They found the key to how many episodes should be done before it becomes, oh my God, is the season going to end, to, oh my God, is the season's going to end?
Right. There's analytics and everything now.
Yeah.
You should have heard Grayson and I this last season of Orphan Black.
Oh yeah.
We were like, only 10 again? No, it's the last season. You got to give us 12. You got to give us at least a 2-hour finale. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were like, oh my God, why is it so and so? You know, we were like, no, we get no closure.
It's like, I respect them for holding to their schedule and ending it in 5 seasons. But at the same time, I still wanted more. But of course, that's why they do it.
Yeah.
They want to leave you wanting more. And so many TV shows these days just don't get that.
It's true.
You always go out on top.
Exactly.
Unless there are certain shows, it's kind of like that you're going, oh, thank God they ended.
There's those too.
Yes, it's the, oh my God, it should have ended like 5 seasons ago. There's a certain show that's on TV, let's say The Walking Dead. If season 7 was Season of Snore.
It's getting a little long on the tooth.
Yes, it was like, okay, it started at season 6 when you didn't kill Glenn off. Then it's like, I'm sorry, he does not fit under a dumpster. We had like an entire episode talking about this as our Walking Dead podcast. It's like it is implausible for a human being to fit under that kind of dumpster, no matter, I don't care how skinny a man you are. It's like that would have to be some amazing, flattening action. And
yes,
now Glenn was a contortionist.
Yes.
It's like, as easily as he got in and out from underneath of that dumpster, I'm like going, no, they're only on 8-inch wheels. They're not, you cannot fit underneath of it.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but it's like, if you can fit under it, so can the bite-eating zombies. Like like what? They just all have bigger heads than you? They're fatter than you?
Plot hole.
It's like, yeah.
Big one.
It's like, yeah. It's like the plausibility was lost there, and then it's like it just went downhill from there with the Garbage Pail Kids last season, and which is what we called them. The group in the junkyard, and
I called them the Thunderdome people.
Yeah, or the Thunderdome Kids, and then it's like the whole thing with the kingdom, and I was like, okay, if you're going to want to show that there is more sets of survivors, that's really lovely. But did we have to go with the Dungeons and Dragons theme as well? Because I love Dungeons and Dragons very much, because I'm a huge D&D fan. Sure. It's like, and why are you trying to do bad versions of D&D?
Yeah.
Including it, it's like including Negan. It's like, I love Jeffrey D. Morgan. He's an amazing human being, and Jeffrey, I plead with you. It's like, tell them to give you better dialogue, because sounding like prose of books. I'm like sitting there going, okay, on chapter 3 of Shakespeare's sonnets, you're singing to, it was like, I'm sorry, but they made the governor so interesting, and they made Negan so boring. I'm like, I want to bash him over the head with Lucille.
You know what he kind of reminds me of when he first came on, and in his dialogue and everything, and the way he dressed. I had it popped in my hand. Andrew Dice Clay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, he kind of talks like him, kind of like going, yeah, I'll just smack you down. Like when, I mean, his character, he plays the part well, but I'm like, I'm sorry, Andrew Dice Clay pops into my head.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and I had just seen him in Extant right before he came on as Negan, because it was the last season of Extant, which was a brilliant series in terms of that. It's like, I'm sorry that one got canceled. I was like, oh my God, he was so incredibly amazing, and then they're giving him this schlock. I'm like, please let me hope that they've given him a giant paycheck to say this stuff, because I'm sorry, he must be reading this dialogue and going, are you freaking kidding me? There better be an extra $100,000 in my paycheck this week for saying this stuff.
One can only hope.
Yeah, so they take an actor like him and then give him just, I'm sorry, crappy dialogue. It's no.
Yeah. It made me feel sorry for him. And then it's like, I'm sorry, but you know, did they lose how to write character on that show? Did the writers take a vacation and like they put in replacement writers?
That could very well be. You know, some of these writers that were on their earlier seasons may have moved on or got too expensive. Who knows?
Well,
I actually don't know.
Well, I
honestly,
noticed
it has
an
to be.
immediate decline in the quality of the show when Frank Darabont left.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I was just sitting there, like I said, I was gobsmacked when I was sitting there going like, how could they have written all of this dialogue? It's like, I'm sorry, I could probably give my 11-year-old to write better dialogue for
They
someone.
need to hurry up and make this rumored Watchmen prequel, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan needs to be the comedian again.
Yeah, that was awesome.
He was outstanding in that role.
Yeah, he's shown in that, and he's definitely one of the standouts from the film. And give me more, absolutely.
Yes, and that's why I'm saying that there are some really excellent TV. There's some really excellent films. You just have to figure out what it is that you're looking for in terms of it, and in terms of marketing to the audience. It's like, start understanding what your audience is. It's like with that show, they're losing their audience, even though they can claim high ratings. They're standing on their laurels.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And to your point, Odette, earlier about these cross platforms, there's, you know, and now independent films having a better chance with the Movie Pass. A production company out in LA I'm familiar with is now taking those ideals and saying, you know what, what's stopping us from creating our own platform? So they've reached out to our agency, and now we're talking to them about building a new platform of the content they're creating. So
very cool.
Mostly known for their films, but now they're talking about these television episodes. Rather than going to Netflix, they're now talking about building their own platform with their own creative content that's both television and film, all independent. And well, we'll find it. You know, it'll be marketed out in the ways that, like, what we're creating might be interesting to you because of your interest in this. And there's nothing stopping people from doing that. Even Disney is saying, hey, we're going to create our own platform, you know, and Disney, they can do that. But even independent production companies are talking about doing the same thing.
Well, one of the things that has also happened recently also as well is like the machinima. Things like iClone have become very popular in terms of that. So it's like the machinima is going to become a new platform as well, because virtual world platforms.
Right.
Yeah, it's like it's incredible. It's like it's one of those things that you're sitting there going, wow, okay, it's time that we become limitless.
Yes. Yeah. The playing field is now so level, provided you have the financing, but like you can create content and get it out there on any platform or create your own. And
I love the fact that there are still places also like YouTube, Vimeo, places like that you can get out. Yes, also free content as well as also paid content.
Yeah.
It's like there should be, it's like YouTube Red coming out was like a brilliant idea for YouTube. It gives YouTube that next level.
YouTube is now the #2 search engine.
Yeah.
When I need to fix something in my house, I'm not a handy guy. I go to YouTube, and there's something there that teaches me how to do stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody has had to have created a video for it.
And they have. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Like how to steady your dishwasher.
Yeah, there's a video for just about anything on YouTube. Anything you want to do or try to do, or it's like if my car starts acting up or does something weird, you know, I'm like you, get on YouTube and like okay, there's the fix for that.
Right.
And so like I said,
which is exciting because it's like it allows
amazing.
Well, yeah, and this is the whole thing, is that marketing to a new world.
Well, that's how I learned to do podcasting. As I watched the countless YouTube videos.
Oh, there you go, and here we are.
Yeah, that's right.
Full circle.
So
Yeah.
with all the digital streaming choices and platforms out there, which one do you think is the best in terms of for filmmakers?
I feel like Amazon is coming on strong because of the capital they have to throw at talent. They're one of the 7 horsemen of the apocalypse. No, they have so much money they can do whatever they want to do. Netflix is fantastic, and they do give obviously such leeway for creatives to come out with things like the OA and beautiful productions. But I feel like Amazon with their financing just makes it that much more capable.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to be our next big trend coming up in both film, television, and social media?
Well, it's going to be probably a little more niche oriented, so that people are becoming their own broadcasters. I mean, look, that's what YouTube has made it capable for people to do, as we were just saying. It's going to continue in that direction where there are more and more people becoming their own networks. Instagram with their stories and Facebook with their stories, but Snapchat and all these others, people are just like creating so much content now, and they're speaking to their own brand as a result, and then other companies come out to them and say, look, you're an influencer for this particular reason, here's our product, please mention it and we'll pay you. And it's just, I think, going to continue in that direction. The trend that comes out of that is people will stop looking at celebrity, and it's going to be like that individual, that person that is not a high profile influencer, but it's going to be even more of a level playing field, more ubiquity of individuals saying, creating their own content and saying, we want you to be a part of our brand as a result.
Well, it makes absolute sense, because it's like also people on the air, it's like they're just on-air person. Your on-air personality, and it's like that's what they're going to be famous for. It's like even now in this day and age, to be able to get a part in a lot of productions and stuff like that, it's like people start going, well, what's your social media cue?
Is right.
How many followers do you have on Twitter?
Let's talk your clout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, eventually films are going to come to you, Odette, and say, all right, I want your team to talk about our film coming out. Please, here's our trailer. Talk about it. Could you have it now? And they want you to be the influencer to talk about their movie and things like that. It'll just make more sense.
And we welcome that.
That's right.
In terms of that, just like we also welcome our fan base. It's like we just found out that we have at least 50 more viewers that have joined our Movietime with Grace and Sonata page. So we're really happy about that.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's like, so yay, go Movietime. It's like we love people. It's like asking us questions on that, because we actually also get questions on our show too.
Well, for
it's
sure.
Like,
I'll log in and make sure I'm taking part in those discussions as well. But that's it. We have this community, and here we are talking about things we like to talk about.
Right.
Yep. And one of the best parts about it is, like, to me, in terms of marketing, is like being able to get out messages out there. It's like another thing that is also like when you have media with a cause. It's either a film project, or it has or it's a television series, or it's it's a game. It's like something that is out there for a social cause. This is the new platform to be able to get to the widest range of audience. Because as you said, if there isn't people who are watching television, it's like the more people who are watching it online. How do we market then to come forward? Because there is that whole world of noise out there. How do we get through the noise to stop becoming a whisper and become a scream?
Yeah, and there's no one answer. There is now the need, and this is what we do, is when asked by a client to market for them, for lack of a better term, what we do is about 2 weeks worth of research into their audience, getting to understand who it is that they're speaking to, finding out who those people are, what their voice is, and then formulating a way to talk to those specific people, that particular group. It's the only way to do it nowadays.
Yeah, and finding out where they go, what do they do?
Yeah. We're following them.
Yeah.
Rather than just talking to them, we're going where they're going and saying, oh, okay, you might be interested in this.
Yeah, it's like, and finding like-minded people in a community. And one of the things that we're also all about is positivity.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, it's like the more positivity that we can put out in this world is like, it's beyond belief of how much it comes back to us.
Yeah.
And social awareness as well, because it's like, this is another thing, is that medias are starting to become more of an understanding that don't believe everything you read, don't believe in everything you say. We are probably the first years of questioning what we've been told is to be true.
Yeah, and there's value in that, right? It's not just taking what you're hearing as the absolute truth. It's maybe investigating a bit more, taking the steps, because the information is available. You know?
Yes.
Google is there. YouTube is there.
Yes.
Find out the details.
And Wiki does lie. Wikipedia.
Yes.
Yes. It is not the Encyclopedia Britannica.
No.
In the encyclopedia, no.
You know, nowadays, more times than not, when you're having, a group of people going to be together having a conversation, and somebody say something, and it's like, well, that doesn't sound right. And then somebody in the group's going, well, Google it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I walked by this girl the other day going to work. Her T-shirt said, IDK, Google it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Google it. Don't ask me. Figure it out yourself. I giggled as we passed.
Yes. It's kind of like...
and then you saw that and you're really going, darn, why didn't I think of that?
I could have made money on that shirt.
I could have made money on the T-shirt. Darn it.
I don't know. Google it. You figure it out.
Yeah. It's like, just like, as they say that it's like that and the coffee ones. It's like, for me, it's like, I get like this daily coffee reminders. It's like, these little daily coffee memes.
For sure.
One was like, you can never trade your coffee for anything. If you had to trade your coffee, it's like, I've often said, I want the caffeine IV drip. It's like, and they were like, yeah, they had this person walking around with an IV bag. I'm like, yes, like that.
That's the one.
Yes. We have people walking around going, third bag today.
Yeah.
It gets us through the day.
Yes.
And the night.
Yes.
Amen.
And there is health benefits with coffee. Don't fool yourself. There is.
That's right.
It's like, and a lot of people don't realize that. So yes, there is.
Lots of good things.
Yep.
That's right.
Cancer prevention agents,
That's right.
as well as also apparently arthritis relief.
See, I didn't know that.
Yes, it is used for arthritis patients to actually calm their nerves and muscles.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yep,
usually that usually happens when you set the coffee mug or the coffee pot on your hand that has the arthritis and the heat, or you spill the. No, I'm just kidding.
Also, it's good. It's good for a headache because it widens the blood vessels.
Yep.
In there. But the problem, my problem was always, if I have a headache, I don't feel like getting up and making a cup of coffee.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, that's when I have my cafe accruta beside me, my little caffeine pills.
Well played.
Yeah, 4 globules under the tongue and whole cup of coffee for
Pretty
an
cool.
entire day. Yeah,
Nice.
and by the way, if your child is hyperactive, before you go to the Ritalin, try coffee first. It actually works reverse on hyperactives.
She's good. The funnel cake from the shore today made her a little crazed, but after that, just fine.
Yeah, but yes, it's like that is one of the things that is really good. Yeah. Yes.
Well, but that's fun when they're that young and they get on the sugar high and they're climbing the walls and going crazy and everything. You know, my youngest daughter was like that, and then she got to be a teenager and she would come home and walk into the wall. It's like, and what have we been drinking this evening?
Well, yes, and it's like so. You see, and then we even branded it. It's like for me, it's like I have officially made everybody addicted to Tim Hortons coffee, and this will yes, Tim Horton donuts and coffee. It's like
I wanted Tim Horton you for that yet.
Yes, I wanted Tim Horton in every part of the world.
Coffee. I've not had the donuts yet, but it's coming. I know.
Of course.
Yes, but you haven't gotten to me yet. I've not tried the coffee nor the donuts.
We will break you soon. You will turn over to the Tim Horton side. It's like I'm sorry, but they belong everywhere in the world. It's like they are the best coffee in the world. But then also, of course, then why would you come to Canada to have coffee if you can have it anywhere? I tried to find the Tim Hortons in Chicago. They no longer exist. Or if they do, they need to find their way to me. Good thing that we're filming in both New York and in Chicago.
Yeah, they are in New York City.
Yes.
Dunkin' Donuts and Tim Hortons are going toe-to-toe in the big city.
Yes. Go Timmy's.
That's right.
You've rolled up the rim to win. But yes, it's like in all seriousness, it's like yes, because those are brand advertisings.
Yeah.
One of the things that we tend to do. Oh, this is something I wanted to ask. It's like, is product placement helping in social media now, or are they marrying hand in hand, or do we still have to listen to advertising?
I think now the young people are way too savvy to buy into product placements and those kinds of things. It's got to work authentically. Otherwise, they'll smell it and totally be driven in the other direction.
Yeah, that they won't like the actual product that it is.
Right.
If it's being pushed in their face.
Don't like being sold to.
Yeah. It's like, definitely, it's one of those things that it's like, that's why it has to start becoming clever, the way that we are advertising.
That's right. Yeah. You have to tell a story. You have to create content that's compelling. Don't sell them. Just create a conversation. Yep. Hopefully draw them into the conversation. And that's what every every company wants to create. Some sort of voice that their consumer shares in.
Well, it's like, so which begs the question of also, it's like when you're marketing, it's like you want to catch also a huge audience when you have some subject with a large audience appeal. Is the marketing different towards a millennial versus a marketing towards like almost do you have to run separate campaigns like to a Gen Xer versus a millennial?
Yeah, and more often than not, it's not broken out by age range, but likes and dislikes, where what you're saying isn't necessarily changing by the age group, but what it is they're participating in, where they're finding, like, where they're shopping, what they're buying. It's something that for this one company, they're a shoe manufacturer, and they're coming out with these really cool high-end sneakers of a higher price point at $200 more. So they don't care what age group is buying it. They just want to know who's buying that kind of high-end curated cool shoe. So yeah, it's how you market will change depending on once we find that group that is interested in that, that will change how we're speaking to them for sure. Yeah, it's hard to even decide, okay, well, because they're in this age group, we're going to talk this way, and a younger group will talk that way. It's hard to do, but yeah, you'll probably end up creating different campaigns for each audience member.
Well, because it's like targeting. Also, it's like one of the things that they did brilliantly for films like Wonder Woman, an example. It's like targeting towards female empowerment and towards that as well. And in terms of also roles, one of the things that they did is that they made it a movie that was appealing to men for the action sequence, and it's like, I'm sure that for some of them, Gal Gadot too,
for sure,
as well that made that appealing. But to the women, and where it was appealing, it was like going back to the basics of understanding what the essence of Wonder Woman meant to the female audience. It's like, to people that are my age, it's like, I'm sorry, Linda Carter forever embeds in my head is Wonder Woman. And
sure.
and the Justice League cartoons, it's like, perfectly embodied that, like, who didn't remember the Wonder Twins and Justice League and Friends and
Saturday morning,
like
I was there.
Yes, absolutely. Saturday morning cartoons. It's like we were peeled to our TV. Yep. It's like with it. So it's like when they tried to reboot it on television the first time and change the concept for it, they failed, unfortunately, miserably.
Right.
And it's like, so when I heard that there was Wonder Woman movie coming out, I was like, oh my God. I was sitting there holding on bated breath. I'm like, oh, please, 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 somebody actually respect what was the thing that the little girl in everybody who wanted to be Wonder Woman. It's like, understand that kick-ass empowerment.
Yeah, don't screw this up. We're a little skeptical. Yes. Please do it right.
Exactly, and especially after seeing Batman v Superman, or what it's like, I call the "Don't Say Her Name" movie. I was like, I was not holding out much hope on that. I was like really going, okay, I'm going to watch this movie, but I'm going to watch with so much trepidation. I
had a lot. Yeah. I had a lot of faith in them because Wonder Woman was the only good thing about the Bats versus Soups movie.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but at that point in time, I was like, praying, hoping, and then when I saw, oh my God, they even have a backstory for her, and it's like, it started going like, oh my God, yeah, it was like so good, oh my God, somebody actually took a tear, and then I was like, oh, that's because Nancy Snyder was there with Zack Snyder. I get it. Patty Jenkins was there. Yes. It's like, oh my God, somebody was like thinking backstory.
Yes, and she was there to say, Zach, you're not gonna ruin this like 300.
See, but that's the whole thing. Is that it's like, no matter what the story is, it's like when you're doing it, it's like if it has substance, people are gonna watch the movie as well. Look at the movies that are nominated for Oscars. Things like Moonlight, Manchester by the Sea. The movies that have been nominated, it's like, for Oscars, have substance.
Right. That's
even La La Land last year, it's like, as much as you could say, yeah, musical. Are you kidding? It was a throwback to the 1950s musicals.
Absolutely. Unabashedly, this is what they intended to do, and they accomplished it.
Yeah. And it felt so good.
What pleased me most was that, of the 9 nominees, I believe 6 were indie films.
Right.
Yeah.
They weren't big studio films.
Interesting, right?
So maybe that was also changing in terms of trend.
Yeah. I think
so.
And the celebration of like such great marketing that's coming up. Television also wise has switched over. It's like no longer it's like they're starting to bring back the family comedy that they used to have.
Right.
This is starting to become more and more and more, but they're using cultural family comedy, which is really awesome because as far as I'm concerned, it's like great. You're seeing like, again, back to the days when you're looking at it from traditional family comedy. Before they started hitting like, the I'm not sure what kind of blend that they call it, what they called it, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Where it's like you sort of lost the whole family aspect of family comedy. You know, they kind of lost that. Or they started thinking, oh, well, this isn't a really interesting subject. It's like they're starting to realize, no, we need to actually have things like family comedies come back again. Another one that's coming back is true crime stories. It's like, thankfully, the amount of reality TV, even though cheap, is slowly dissipating. And please, Netflix, do not pick it up.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
Or Amazon or Hulu, because really, it's like the amount that we have right now is
scripted
already
television and film that is with high integrity, with great quality.
Yes.
That's what's getting the audience.
Yeah. Real stories are coming back again. People want to see real stories. Yeah. And the best part is that I'm hoping that our next trend, do you feel that our next trend in projects are going to be also now back to stories with substance in the film industry? Because we hit a big, huge snag of, I'm sorry, why did they make this movies?
Yeah, and our earlier example, the emoji, it's like they're just kind of running out of ideas, and so they're trying to find a way to mitigate risk, but yet Netflix's and Amazon's and all the independent films out there, the ones that, like you're saying, the 6 out of 9 that got the Academy Award nomination, substance, high quality, amazing work, and that's where the trend is going for sure.
High concept is also starting to come back.
Right.
It's like we had asked this season on Movietime, why is there not another Children of a Lesser God coming out? Why don't they deal with more social subjects? It's like, when did it become the whole norm to have the reboot of something? It's like, and when I keep hearing that they want to redo something from the 80s, I'm like, why do you want to redo something from the 80s? Because the 80s had deeper subjects.
Yeah.
Then find your own today's deeper subjects.
Hopefully there's a writer out there who's either writing a script or writing a book and hearing you and saying, this is what I'm doing. And Hollywood will hopefully smartly take that and create it into film.
Yes. I'm not saying get rid of the tent poles. I'm not saying get rid of the superhero movies. Yeah. Keep them for the summer.
For sure.
When all the little kiddies are out and all of that, just like you keep your holiday movies for your holiday season. But for the rest of the year, please give us intelligent movies that come out and, have something.
Movies like, I'm so excited. I found it today. It's on Amazon now. You can buy it for less than the movie ticket would have cost to go see it in the theater, and that's Beatrice at Dinner.
Awesome.
Which is, I wanted to see it, and it was only at my theater for a week, and then it was gone. And I was like,
I heard it was awesome. I didn't know it was on Amazon. That's great news.
Yes, I can't wwait to watch it.
Me too.
And I will be seeing Patty Cake.
No, just
yeah, there you go. It's like it's like I'll be seeing Patty Cake. I'll be seeing Ingrid Goes West.
Yes.
It's like these are movies that it's like they're starting to again be really great. Ingrid Goes West kind of reminds me of almost like an Almost Famous type movie.
Yeah.
Throwing back to that Kate Hudson Almost Famous time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So again, it's like more prevalent in terms of social subjects and stuff, and putting a little bit of spins and humor on it.
Right.
So, Brian, it comes down to what is the next big thing for you?
Well, for me,
what's coming up on you?
Yeah, work continues, which I love to do. I've got my own project on the side, which is an urban fantasy book I've written. And it's at a publisher right now, and so I wait while they evaluate it. But I believe it will end up in one of 2 or 3 publishers out there that are in that fantasy sci-fi space, and of course,
Sounds
once it's
good.
published, I'm gonna want Hollywood to make it into a film, of course.
But make sure they do it right.
That's right.
Yes, but here's a question: would you be interested in also having it independently done? Because independents could actually do it in a better manner in a lot of times.
I agree. It's effects driven.
Yes.
It's set in the future of New York City in the year 2030, when dogs have been granted citizenship thanks to the Canine Rights Act. So I envision this as a live action CGI, you know, because they speak telepathically, these dogs.
Yes.
And so, you know, just like the way the recent Planet of the Apes franchise came out, these are CGI. The CGI work was incredible, and that's kind of the way I see it. So if an independent production house can come up with that kind of quality, I'm absolutely all for it. We'll see. We'll have further discussions on the process of this book getting published, and then Hollywood or some studio taking a look at it.
Very cool.
Discussions I look forward to having with you all.
Definitely, and you will definitely have to come back here for doing that.
Absolutely, of course.
And being a movie about dogs, yeah, I'm definitely in for that one.
He'll even go to an indoor theater.
Yes, I would actually even go to an indoor theater to see
with his movie pass.
Yes, with movie pass.
I think that really brought it all full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll market it. But you'll market it very, very carefully.
I will. I mean, look, if I can't do it, I don't know who can.
and you know what? Some of the proceeds can go to the SPCA.
I'm actually a contributor, a donor. Yeah, and I intend to actually donate parts of the proceeds of my book to the ASPCA. Yeah.
Yep, because they do a great work.
Well. They do. Yeah, they're a great organization for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
Olaf
the fact
works
that
with them too on a volunteer basis. So
awesome.
We're
awesome. That's great news.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they've turned them into no-kill shelters.
Yes. Of course.
I was like so happy when I heard that. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, yeah, this is the way that it needs to go. It's like,
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, for so long it was, you know, they got 1 week, and it's like, why? It's not their fault.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad I have you guys as potential readers and movie watchers as well.
Oh yeah.
Well, like and supporters is like it's like different times I've supported the ASPCA, but one of the things I do here locally and have done for 16 years, every year at Christmas, I dress up as Santa, and people bring their dogs, cats, whatever in and have their picture taken with Santa, and all the proceeds go to the local animal rescue league.
Wonderful.
Yep.
So.
Bravo.
And I have a ball. I get to play with a lot of different puppies. Puppies and stuff. I love it.
That's great.
It's like it's great. That and the kitties.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Snakes, you know, whatever. Like llamas. I've had my picture with llamas. Yeah, so it's a fun thing. I spend the first 2 weekends of December doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And also, Brian, how do they get you in social media? If they want to be in touch with you.
Find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, of course. That's where we came across one another.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot, actually, which is B_RockNYC, which is also on the Instagram handle, BRockNYC.
Okay.
Yeah. Or just look up Brian Hathaway. I don't know how many of us there are out there.
Apparently 2,400 and something.
Right? Well,
worldwide.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, love to talk about more.
Yes.
For sure.
Absolutely, because I'd love to hear. It's like when the book comes out, we'd love to hear more about it. It's like I know that you can't.
About it.
Yeah, it's like it's like I know that it's like you have to keep it under wraps until it's actually published out there or self-published.
Yes.
But yeah, you do have to be careful with so many Brian Hathaways of the world. When she told me you were the guest, I was like, well, where can I find some information? She said, well, Google him.
There you go.
I Googled him,
I don't know.
and the first
Google
thing that came up was a guy who has sex with deer involved in a shooting. I'm like, this is not him, right?
Interesting subject matter. Okay. Must be a different guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Scary. And Olaf, how do we get you in social media?
Well, you can stalk me on both Facebook and Twitter at Olaf Barbosa, but as I always say, don't stalk too close because I do get nervous and I do have an itchy trigger finger.
And Arpo, how do we get you in social media?
Well, if you want to be social with me, you can talk to me on Facebook. If you want to talk business, go over to LinkedIn because I'm there. And if you just want to chat, hey, Skype me. I mean, I love to talk to people, but if you're going to use Skype, please make sure to tell me that you are a fan of Movietime because I get way too many Armenian women trying to marry me and robots trying to get my credit card number.
That's fair.
There you go. And for me, you can get me on LinkedIn, Wikipedia, on Facebook, on Twitter at Sonata Grayson, at Movietime Indie. Also, you can find me on www.pastlivesproductionsinc.net. And as I say, with 4 pages of the internet footprint, if you can't find me, you're really not stalking me hard enough.
Simple as that.
Yep. It's like apparently it's like we are on 16 different podcasting stations, 26,000 listeners, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, as well as also and growing. And please visit by pastlivesproductionsinc.net as the website has gotten an update, and as well there is also a gala that has been added as well that we'd love to tell you all about. Till the next time.
And hola to our new Spanish listeners.
Yes.
Hola.
Yes. Hola.
Yes. We are now officially in German, in Spanish, in Japanese, Chinese. So now we are becoming multilingual.
Multiculturalism is
Yes.
the future. That is
It is.
definitely the new trend.
Yes,
Yes.
they rock. All of these stations rock.
Of course, with all these different languages, I really want to hear what the person sounds like who's doing me.
They have them in a Mickey Mouse voice.
Yeah, probably.
Going, Señora Grayson.
Oh, well.
Well,
Yes.
it was a
and we
pleasure
wanna
speaking with all of you.
Thank you. And it was a great having you, Brian. You are incredible. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's been an awesome show. Great.
Looking forward to the next one.
Awesome.
Absolutely. You have to do this again because it's like, got to hear all about it and hear even more.
I look forward to telling you all the updates.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care, guys.
You too.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
So long, everybody.